Welcome to today's explainer. I am so excited to jump into this one with you. Today, we're diving headfirst into a remarkably powerful piece of metaphorical poetry called Reams and Paper, written by Oluyomi David. You know, if you've ever felt completely bogged down by the noise of rumors, just endless gossip or unproductive chatter, this explainer is going to completely reframe how you look at your own potential. We're going to unpack the brilliant structure of her work to see how micro actions of positivity can literally transform our entire global landscape.
So let's just get right into it with a striking quote from her text that perfectly sets the stage for us. Talebearer has no voice. Speak the truth and break them loose. I really want you to ask yourself, what does it actually take to break free from that gravitational pull of negativity? How do we establish real, unshakable truth when we're just surrounded by empty words? Because this isn't just a poem, it's really an actionable manifesto. And to truly grasp its depth, we first need to understand the visionary behind it.
Section 1. Meet Oluyomi David.
Understanding her worldview is absolutely crucial because it forms the entire architecture of this poem. She doesn't just write to entertain us. She writes with a distinct transformative purpose. Just look at the sheer breadth of her identity. She is a Nigerian author, yes, but she's also a policy influencer and a fierce advocate for transformation. She explicitly states that she loves people, and she operates from a deeply rooted faith foundation. In her own words, she describes her Father God as the one who owns and rules the universe, calling him the wheel within my wheels. That profound sense of spiritual and personal grounding is the exact lens through which we have to view her poetry. She's writing from a place of deep, deep conviction.
The big takeaway here is that her poetry is really a vehicle for her core mission. Her macro goals are massive. We're talking about championing global development, generating solutions, and actively influencing policy and strategy. She's definitely not interested in passive observation. When she writes a poem like Reams and Paper, she's using metaphor to provide clarity and real solutions for real-world societal issues. Basically, she's handing us a strategic policy brief disguised as beautiful rhythmic verse.
Section 2. The Trap of the Talebearer.
Every great manifesto needs a clear antagonist, right? A force that works against the ultimate goal of transformation. Well, in her poem, she introduces us to exactly that force. She calls this antagonist the talebearer. In David's framework, the talebearer isn't just someone who casually gossips at the water cooler. No, the talebearer represents a destructive, barren force that actively hinders personal growth and community development. The talebearer is the absolute antithesis of her mission to generate solutions and love people. When we hear the word talebearer, we should be picturing emptiness, distraction, and societal decay. It's essentially a flat, dead-end road.
She perfectly juxtaposes the trap and the antidote for us. The trap is completely empty. The talebearer has no business and produces absolutely nothing. But the antidote, it's this warm, energetic call to action. Express your value and keep them coming. Do you see that contrast? She highlights the total uselessness of the gossiper while demanding that instead of engaging in all that empty chatter, we must proactively express our own value. That is exactly how you drown out the noise.
Let's look at how this builds in another powerful stanza. Talebearer has no secret. You know, gossip pretends to hold hidden, valuable information, but fundamentally, it's just hollow. Her solution? Share your dreams and find them published. She champions the constructive, uplifting act of sharing a vision over the destructive act of whispering a rumor. She's telling us that our dreams actually have the power to manifest into reality, to literally be published, if we focus our energy there instead of on the barren whispers of a talebearer.
Moving into Section 3, from gossip to value creation.
Now, this is where she transitions from just pointing out the problem to mapping out actual societal healing. She shows us exactly how our micro-actions create real value, and she kicks this off with one of the most poignant warnings in the entire text. Talebearer has no plaster. Expose your wound and make them sore. Think about what a plaster or a bandage represents. It's healing, protection, care. The talebearer completely lacks the tools and the empathy to heal you. What she reveals here is that if you show your vulnerability, your wounds, to a destructive force, they aren't going to help you heal. They'll just aggravate it. They'll make the wound sore. It's a really profound reminder to protect our vulnerabilities and seek out true healers, rather than looking for validation from empty sources. And here, she contrasts chaos versus peace. Talebearer has no peace. By definition, gossip breeds anxiety, conflict, and chaos. But her instruction to us is so empowering. Lift your banner and calm them down. She positions you and me as active peace bringers. We aren't supposed to shrink away from the chaos. We are supposed to confidently lift our banner, our own standard of truth and stability, to literally calm the societal storm. We become the very solution generators she strives for in her own life's mission.
Section 4. Building community and connection. So once we've established peace, what do we do next? Well, she uses incredibly vivid, beautiful metaphors of the home and social gatherings to advocate for active community building. For all their talking, the purveyor of rumors is ultimately alone, isolated by a total lack of trust. Talebearer has no friend. So what's her countermove? Throw your party and bring them together. I just love the energy of this. She isn't just saying, hey, be nice. She is saying, proactively create spaces of joy and unity. Host a gathering. Bring people together. True connection is the absolute ultimate defense against the division caused by talebearers.
She takes that concept even further. Talebearer has no home. Build your court and host them there. The talebearer is restless, wandering, lacking a true foundation. In response, she commands us to build our court. A court implies structure, safety, governance. By building our court and hosting others, we're taking these micro actions of hospitality that tie directly back to her macro goals of global development. You literally change the world by building a solid foundation in your own community and inviting others into that secure space.
The metaphor of clothing she uses is incredibly powerful. Talebearer has no wardrobe. The talebearer is completely destitute of true substance or dignity. But her advice isn't to point and laugh or mock them, it's mend your garments and clothe them moderately. This is a brilliant metaphor for repairing the torn fabrics of our society. By mending our own garments, fixing our own flaws, and reinforcing our own character, we can actually provide dignity and clarity to others. We become providers in a landscape of scarcity.
Section 5. Truth, Growth, and Mercy.
This represents the absolute pinnacle of personal growth. Once we have built our community, we have to govern it with truth and ultimate forgiveness. We're revisiting this quote from the beginning, but now we can understand its full weight. Talebearer has no voice. Speak the truth and break them loose. Think about it. The gossip only has power if we stay silent. By speaking the truth, we don't just defend ourselves, we actually break the chains of destructive behavior. We break them loose. It's a highly energetic call to arms. Your truth is a liberating force. And here we see the long-term vision she holds. Talebearer has no harvest. Gossiping is basically planting dead seeds. You're going to reap absolutely nothing. But she pushes us toward abundance. Grow your crops and feed them later. This speaks to patience, to strategy, and to legacy. She wants us cultivating skills, relationships, and solutions right now so that we have a harvest rich enough to nourish others down the line. It is the ultimate picture of global development starting right at the individual level. Let's see how all this builds into her most challenging, yet freeing, instruction. She lays out a very clear progression of forgiveness. First, she writes that the talebearer has no color, meaning they lack vibrancy and true perspective. Step 2 is her instruction, change your vista, which means you must consciously shift your own perspective. You have to elevate your view above the gray noise. And step 3 is the direct result of that shift, and forgive them freely. She truly believes that changing how you view the situation directly leads to the ultimate freedom of forgiveness. You don't hold grudges, you transcend them entirely.
Section 6. The Global Transformation.
This is where we bring it all home and connect this beautifully woven poetry right back to Oluyomi Oladevid's ultimate, overarching mission for the world. This is the concluding thought of the text, and wow, it is a powerhouse. Talebearer has no lane, mind your journey, and show them mercy. The talebearer is swerving all over the place, totally distracted by everyone else's lives. And what does she tell us? Stay in your lane, mind your own journey. Stay hyper-focused on your own path of value creation. But notice that ending? She doesn't say ignore them. She says show them mercy. Even to the destructive force, she extends her core mission of loving people.
So, let's summarize her brilliant antidote. To combat the talebearer, we have to furiously focus on value creation and truth-telling. We must protect our peace and, as she says in the poem, spread your salt, adding flavor and preservation to the world. We actively build our local communities by throwing parties and hosting courts. We elevate our perspective to forgive freely and show mercy. because she believes, with total conviction, that rejecting the noise and embracing these constructive micro-actions is exactly how we influence policy and transform our global society.
I want to leave you with a final, provocative thought to take with you today, based directly on her words. Are you building your court, or are you just bearing tales? Are your daily habits actually aligning with true global transformation, or are they just getting lost in the noise? All You Owe Me, Ola David has given us the blueprint. Now it's up to us to start building. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to keep expressing your value out there.